As we said in the confession time, many of us know this story as the beginning of the parable of the prodigal son. But that is not what Jesus said. He didn't say there once was a man who had a father and a brother. He said there was a man who had two sons. And so we know up front, as we confess, this story is about a father who loves and forgives his children and wants them to do the same for one another. Now, I'm supposing, standing here, that everyone here believes that love and forgiveness are good things that we should be doing. We're all in need of love and forgiveness. We all have the opportunities to share them. When we receive love and forgiveness, it feels like life has warmth of sunshine after a long winter. And when we give them, it feels like we are freed from carrying a heavy burden. And when we love and forgive ourselves, it feels like the breath we take after being underwater for too long. And we talk about love and forgiveness together because in the gospel, forgiveness is what love becomes when love is tested. Love is the soil out of which forgiveness grows. Forgiveness is love's way of refusing to let go. And that's exactly what we see in this Father Jesus shares with us. A love so deep that forgiveness is simply love's natural expression. And so, Jesus' story about God offers us wonderful theology. We're all in need of receiving God's love and forgiveness. We all need to let others know the good news of that. That's real. But at the same time, it is also a disturbing theology. Disturbing because forgiveness is something wrong, and well, wrong is wrong. From what I can tell, everyone has a system of personal values. That system helps us decide whether wrongdoing is simple enough that forgiveness is easy, or the wrongdoing is not so simple and that makes forgiveness more difficult. Going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit is one thing. Exploiting minor children is something else. War crimes are not the same thing as forgetting to return a book to the library. I'm not advocating speeding. Return your books to the library, please. But you get my point. The more difficult the wrong is to forgive, the more we insist on a price that has to be paid. An apology, some penance, some cash, a resignation, blood. We stand entrenched in these values, and so our lives and our relationships stand in the balance of our judgments and the decisions that they lead us to. And then along comes Jesus, telling us a 3-part story. It begins, as we heard, with a child so hungry to satisfy his selfish needs that he wishes his father's death and to end the family. That's what it means when he said, "Father, give me my share of the property that belongs to me." And amazingly, this father values his child's freedom more than his own security. Jesus says he divided the property between his 2 children and said goodbye to the younger one, who, most of us know, famously went off and squandered everything. And then in his abject poverty, the son came to himself and decides to go back home. And when the father saw his child, he did things that would have shocked everyone who saw him. Fathers did not run in those days to meet their children, particularly a wayward son. And then he did this public display of emotion with hugs and kisses, and then a new wardrobe, and then a party was on. There were no extra steps. There's no heart-to-heart talk with the old man. There are no extra chores to do. There's no go to your room for a week and think about what you did. And let's be sure we understand. The father had divided his estate. That meant the younger brother came home to live off of his elder brother's inheritance. So when the father called for a celebration, the fatted calf belonged to the eldest brother. Now, for those of us who recognized how wastefully, recklessly, and freely we've spent what we received, this sounds like excellent news. But here's where the second part of the story begins. I'm picking up, guys, at verse 25. Now, his elder son was in the field, and as he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, "Your brother has come home, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound." Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, "Listen, for all these years I've been working like a slave for you. I've never disobeyed your command, and yet you have never given me even a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your estate with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him." Then the father said to him, "Son, you're always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found." So my first question is, which one of you wants to be the servant who had to tell this brother about the party? The other question is then, if you were that sibling, what would upset you the most? Your brother returned? Your father's forgiveness? Or no one asked you about throwing a party with your stuff? Okay, let the sinner come home if he's penitent, but not to a party I pay for. Where's the moral instruction? What about facing the consequences of your actions? What about reaping what you sow? What about those of us who hold up our own, trying to keep up with our responsibilities and end up burning the candle at both ends doing it? What about those of us who keep our jobs and take care of our families? What about those of us who pay our own bills and help keep the church going? What do you have to do to be embraced and kissed and assured that you belong and are valued here? What kind of world would this be if everyone made a practice of rewarding people who do the wrong in our eyes while the right-acting, God-fearing folks are out doing the hard work? What kind of world would it be? "This son of yours," the elder brother spit out. He means this son of yours is no kin to me, and I'm no kin to you if you're going to choose him over me. Well, God help this elder son, and God help us all who understand him. And here begins the third part of the story. The loving, forgiving father knows he has lost both children. He lost the younger one to a life of recklessness, but he's lost the older one too, to what we might consider to be a much more serious fate, a life of self-righteousness. And that attitude takes his child such a distance away from the father, he might as well be in the debauchery of the far country too. What we see, perhaps what we feel, is the child wants his father to love him as a child believes he deserves it. He so wants his father to love him for all the things that he's done right. And his father does love him, but not for that. No more than he loves the younger brother for what he has done. The father does not love either of his children according to what they deserve. He loves them because who he, the father, is. The elder brother cannot stand a love that throws a party for a wasteful sinner and expects the hardworking righteous to not only rejoice in it, but to pay for it. And so he stands outside his father's house, and he shuns his father's love. The thing about this loving, forgiving father, that he's just as free and reckless and wastefully extravagant as he is loyal and faithful and righteous. The father never seems to get tired of giving these things away. His love for one child, though reckless, does not get in the way of the love of another child, though self-righteous. They are a family. There is only one Father. They belong to one another. We sang that in that first hymn. The loving father said to his elder son, "We had to celebrate and rejoice because the brother of yours, not my son, but your brother, was dead and has come to life, lost and has been found." That was the elder's brother's invitation to recognize his own lostness and foundness in his father's love. There was no extra steps needed for him either. The party for one is a party for all. And there the story ends. Jesus leaves it that way, I suppose, because it's up to each one of us to finish the story. It's up to each one of us to decide. Now, here's a lesson that I've shared recently with the Board of Deacons and the session. Like the elder son in Jesus' story, we can be highly motivated by anger. And likewise, we can be highly motivated by our anxieties and our fears also. The problem with both of these emotions is that they are never satisfied. They always want more from us. The one emotion that motivates us and fills us and leaves us satisfied is awe. We may either stand outside thinking about how right we are in what we do, or we willingly give all that up and go inside and take our place at a bountiful table of grace, where the true hungers of our hearts are satisfied. At his table of company Jesus keeps, we find sisters and brothers, saints and scoundrels united in our relationship to one God who refuses to give us the love we deserve, but who cannot be prevented us from giving us the love we need. And I pray today you join me in the feeling of the awe of that extravagant run down the road, break the rules, Father, that brings us together in vast mystery, in reverence, and the surrender to wonder that fulfills and makes love and forgiveness possible for all of us. And to Jesus Christ be the glory and the honor and the power and might forever and ever. Amen.